गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. What is that by which we become qualified to recognize the unchanging principle which is supporting all the changes without getting influenced by any change? Is it possible for everyone? No. We have to have the qualification. Like one mother asked me a question, Swamiji, please tell me, medicine is good or engineering is good? I said, for whom? For you? For you, housekeeping is good. No. For my son. I said, okay. Where is your son? He is my son. Hey, how much it is 17 multiplied by 7? How much it comes? Oh, Swamiji, I don't have the calculator. I said, you go in medicine. See, what is good, what is bad is not a question. For what we are qualified, that is important. In the same manner, are we qualified to see beyond our regular perceptions, or we are getting lost in our routine experiences? Therefore, what was said in the earlier 5-6 mantras, the teacher now tells us what is that which is required as a spiritual practice when we can seek the absolute. So the first spiritual practice is Nirmana Moha. Second is Jitasanga Dosha. Third is Adhyatma Nitya. Fourth is Vinivritta Kama. Fifth is Dvandvaihi Vimuktaha. These are the 5 spiritual practices. See? Now the first spiritual practice is what? Nirmana Moha. Mana is measurement. See? When we say 1 kilometer, so we are measuring the space. Space is infinite. When we say 1 liter of waters are infinite. We have measured only 1 liter. See? In the same manner, we are infinite, but we have measured ourselves with reference to the 3 parameters. Which are the 3 parameters? What is your age? Oh, I am 16 for last 40 years. See? So, limitation of time. Then, what is your height? Oh, my size you want 6 plus and 4 plus. So, the limitation of space. And what is your weight? I weigh 1 ton. So, the limitation of object. Only this much I am. I am not beyond this. This is called as the limitation of time, space and object imposed on ourselves. And when these 3 impositions are carried by us as the burden, we live as the body, by the body, for the body, on everybody. This is the story of our life. So the first step is Nirmana Moha. We have to come to recognize that there is but one absolute conscious reality which is functioning through all the bodies. See? It is not that for the ladies it is a feminine consciousness, for the man it is a masculine consciousness. No. It is not that the light electricity functions through the bulb and the heat electricity functions through the heater. No. The differences are on account of the gadgets. Energy is undifferentiated. It gets differentiated when gadgets are fixed. In the same manner, nirmana moha. So where are we keeping ourselves tied down with the body? Therefore, the first spiritual practice is rise above the body identification. See, friends, we have to rise above. And how do we rise above? Only by proper understanding. There is no other way. And what is the proper understanding? The first step, the body is not created by us. Our body does not listen to us. See, you must have seen there are people who become or who put on fat when they even look at the picture of ice cream. And there are people who can consume the whole pig and yet they continue to be thin. There is a friend of mine, he is very thin and lean and he really enjoys lots of rice and sweets and ice creams. And his wife, even she looks at the ice cream, she puts on fat and she becomes so angry. What is this you are enjoying? He said, I didn't stop you, you can also eat. He can eat anything in the world, but he doesn't put on fat. And she even looks at it, she becomes fatty. In short, the body is neither created by us, nor listens to us, nor the body is under our control. On what ground we say, I am the body? So this basic error is to be corrected as a spiritual practice. Then we come to know all our relations in this world, all our possessions in this world are in relation to the body identification. See, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, in deep sleep, when we are not identified with the body, that time we are neither man nor woman, neither mother nor father. See, the whole world is dependent on body identification, nirmana moha. This moha, this is the delusion. Unless we recognize this as a very important spiritual practice, we will be only struggling. I practice little bit of yoga in the morning whenever the Lord wants. I never did it earlier in my whole life. Then I had this, frozen shoulder. In the flight, when I wanted to put my bag in the, compartment, my hand is not going up. I said, oh God. Then I went to the doctor after reaching Bombay. They said, you'll have to operate. I said, forget about it. The moment you go to a surgeon, the only thing is operation. One patient has come. I said, no, I am not going to operate. No, we'll give some injections. I said, I don't want injections. And then I started little bit of movement of the joint and different, pranayam and all that. And within a period of 6 months, my shoulder became perfectly all right. See? So my friend asked me, why didn't you practice earlier yoga? I said, the reason is, when we practice yoga, normally body. Whether I can sit in a particular posture, whether I can do a particular asana, whether I can do this thing, competition, and we start living as body. See? The problem is the body identification. So keep the body healthy, but for what? Only healthy body cannot be the purpose of life. See, if you see all the terrorists, Al-Qaeda terrorists, they are all healthy, is it not? Is any one of them unhealthy? They are perfect. So only healthy body cannot be the goal of life. We have to use the body for some higher purpose. Nirmana moha. Then jita sanga doshaha, the second spiritual practice. Sanga dosha. We have to clearly understand that we all have good and bad impressions dormant in our system. The moment we give a proper opportunity, those will start coming up. And then we blame, oh, my child was spoiled because of the bad company. I was spoiled because of the bad company. Never give ourselves a single chance where there is a possibility of ourselves getting lost. See, friends, Jita Sanga Doshaha. I'll tell you the story of one of my friend. He met me in USA, and he was following yoga and all that. And then he came and started listening to Vedanta. He said, Swamiji, I want to tell you about myself. When you were talking on yoga, I like to tell you. So what is that? He said, when I was in England, I was all alone. After the college hours, nowhere to go, no friends. After the working time, all the ethnic groups get, assaulted. The Indians go to Indians, Bengalis go to Bengali, Britishers go to British, Koreans go to Korea, Chinese go to China. He said, I was getting bored, what will I do? And I was very fond of having, company of the girls. Then I was thinking, what should I do? Where do I get the girls, good girls? Then I read somewhere, yoga somewhere. I said, hey, that's a good thing. I started going for the yoga classes, not for the yoga, but clearly for the girls. I can interact with them, I can talk to them. Then what happened? Slowly, intention was to mix with the girls, but then I started doing the various yoga things, and then I was pulled in the yoga abhyas. And when I was pulled in the yoga abhyas, my interest in the girls or the world started receding. Then I wanted to know more and more. And this is how I am here today for your lectures. See, Sanga Dosha. If we are clear about the purpose of our life, we will automatically avoid the wrong companies and we will be in the right way. Therefore, what is the wrong company? Wrong company is that which will strengthen our body identification. That is the wrong company. See? Second wrong company, that which will talk to us about fulfilling our desires. That is the wrong company. We have to transcend the desires. We have to weaken and ultimately dissolve the body identification. Therefore, the Nirmana Moha Jita Sanga Dosha. And third thing, Adhyatmanitya. Adhyatmanitya has got two aspects. One is a daily study of scriptures. One day, a lady asked me a question. Swamiji, when we are listening to you in the class, everything becomes so simple. But afterwards, then the class is over, we go back, again we are back to square one. What should we do? I said, Amma, you are very intelligent, very good question you asked. Now you reply my question and that will be the reply to your question. Okay? Yes. So I asked her, I said, Amma, I take breakfast in the morning at 7 o'clock. Again at 12 o'clock I am hungry. What should I do? Eat. Oh, very good. I didn't know that. Then at 12 o'clock I take food and again at 5 o'clock I am hungry. What should I do? Again eat. Oh, good. Then I eat at 5 o'clock. Again at 10 o'clock I am hungry at night. What should I do? Again eat. But this is every day. Then every day eat. In the same manner. Only by one satsanga, nothing happens. See? As we have to repeat taking food again and again. We have to keep listening to the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, etc. again and again and again and again. See? The change which comes as a result of the study of the scriptures is change in the vision. And when our vision will change, everything changes. See friends, therefore Adhyatma Nitya means in our daily spiritual practices, we have to spend at least an hour or so for studying Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita kinchitadhita Ganga jalalava kanika pita Sakrutabi yena murari samarcha. So every day we have to study Gita. Now this is what I am going to tell you. There is one person, like that many of them, but this one particular example I will tell you. One person, a young man in his 30s or maybe early 40s or late 30s. He had gone through a terrible time in his life because of the family problems, the properties problem, and he was virtually on the road. His uncles have deceived him, and all father's money were taken by this uncle, and the father died, all kinds of funny things. And he was completely shattered. And somehow or the other he happened to come and listen to the talks on TV, and then he collected many talks on Bhagavad Gita. He started listening, and somewhere he heard me telling this, that every day read one chapter of Gita, whatever way you can, don't give up. Second day, second chapter, third day, third chapter, fourth day, fourth chapter. Read one day, like they're only chanting. Thereafter, this will take you maybe about 5 to 7 minutes. Then take one verse and either listen or read on that one verse with all attention. Thereafter, close the book or your CD and then write down that verse in Sanskrit. Wendy, who came here the other day, she came and studied with me in India. She has zero knowledge of Sanskrit. In her whole life, she never knew what Sanskrit means. But such a committed seeker. She started on her own. I told her, I said, Mama, don't worry. We have got only 7-8 months. If you can't read Sanskrit, don't worry. Understand the subject matter. So in the Sanskrit class, she will not give up. She will come, I am teaching the further lessons to the students. She will sit in her seat and start writing, looking at A, A, E, and alphabet she mastered in a period of 1 week. And thereafter started reading. See? It helps. How it helps? We develop love for something. See? Even if we are having the same pillow every day sleeping, we develop love for that pillow, is it not? In the same manner, it is for developing love for the Bhagavad Gita, we start writing. And then we write the first verse, and then whatever we have heard, we assimilate, and then again write in our own words, our understanding about that particular verse of Bhagavad Gita. In this manner, go slowly, verse by verse, verse by verse. After the 700 verses are over, you will have your own commentary ready on Bhagavad Gita. But for God's sake, don't publish it. Because when you will again go through, you will come to know how horrible it is. But at least it has initiated you into the subject. This is how one has to put efforts. Then only the knowledge is lifted from the book to the brain. And when we interact in the brain, then it becomes mature. And when the knowledge becomes mature, it doesn't remain in the head as erudition and scholarship. But then it migrates to the heart as love and understanding. This is the process. See? Therefore, friends, it is very necessary. Bhagavad Gita, Adhyatma Nitya. Take up. I'll tell you my own experience. I had zero knowledge of Sanskrit. I had taken a vow in my childhood never to study Sanskrit because I used to dislike the teacher. He used to punish me in the school. So I had decided I will study anything, and therefore I studied German and Russian, but not Sanskrit. And The reason was because the teacher was punishing me. And when I started studying the scriptures, then I was at a loss. I can't read anything. Then I said, okay, now let me see. And for 6 months or 9 months, as if I was possessed by some ghost. And all the examples, all the exercises of so many books, and the teacher who was teaching, he was telling me, are you mad? I said, you are using a decent word. I am crazy. I have to know everything. How can it go without it? See, friends. And when you start studying, I remember never in the afternoon I used to sleep for 1 second. The whole Bhagavad Gita, original, then the Shankar Bhashya, writing by hands, writing. See? And then the whole Bhagavad Gita is now completely as if assimilated, absorbed. See, it is something like on the TV we see, you take this vitamin serum and you will become strong. Like in India, they show Chyawanprash. One of the Ayurvedic, supplement. You take Chyawanprash or you take out the spoon from the mouth in the TV shot, and the next shot, like that. So I thought, very good idea. So I consumed the whole bottle of 1 kilogram of Chyawanprash one go and found out nothing happened here, but there was a dysentery. We have to take little quantity every day. Tonic is never consumed in one go. In the same manner, we have to be regular and steady. See, friends, never seek shortcuts on the spiritual path. It will happen. When we seek shortcuts, what happens? It is something like, I want to see the beauty of the bud, but I am in a hurry. I want with a click of a mouse the flower should open. Then what do? I open the bud with my nails, forcibly. The net result, the bud is destroyed, the flower's beauty is never recognized, and the fragrance never comes out. This is what happens with all those who are having shortcuts on their spiritual path. See, friends, let the wisdom slowly grow, and for that, Adhyatma Nitya, regular study of Gita is an essential aspect of spiritual practice. This is one. Now the second, Adhyatma Nitya means studying and watching one's own mind. See, how do we watch our mind? In the following way. Number one, our mind has got default settings, and by those default settings, the first thing that we do, we blame everyone else for our problems. Stop that. Number two, we evaluate everyone around us. We are not here to judge anybody. Third, we label people good and bad. There is nobody good and bad, it is our own vision. See, I received one PowerPoint presentation. First, a newly-wed couple moves in the town, and the wife one day she was cooking and looked from her window, and there was another building, a little old dilapidated kind of building, and the clothes were hanging outside, and she made a comment to her husband. See, how dirty the clothes are. The people don't know even how to wash clothes properly. Every day she will say that, see that, and make the same comment. Husband will keep quiet. Husband will not make one comment. One day she saw, and all the clothes were very clean and neat. Then she said, I think somebody must have gone and taught them how to wash the clothes. Did you? Husband said, no, but I got up early in the morning today, before you got up, and I have cleaned our window. See, friends, the world looks as we see through the window of our mind. Therefore, watching our mind means becoming aware. Are we evaluating? Are we condemning? Are we making friends? Are we making enemies? No. Let our mind remain as a mirror. That is the spiritual practice. And when the mind remains as a mirror, see the beauty, One day I was in UK and they took me to one old church, 300, 400 years old. Huge one. And there were so many dead bodies, tombs lying, and on that big stones kept, and we were walking on the dead bodies inside. And there was one small mirror. So, in some corner. So, I went and stood there. My friend asked me, Swamiji, what are you doing? I said, I am just thinking, how many people this mirror must have seen? And how much memory this mirror must have gathered? 400 years, so many people have come. Swamiji, I don't understand. I said, it's good you don't understand. I always talk nonsense. Be very attentive. Mirror does not have the past. Mirror is always in the present. Let our mind be like the mirror. See? But album, like Al-Qaeda, album. And so many memories, so many past things. And all the time, we are either getting lost in the past or in the future. So Adhyatma Nitya means being consciously aware that we remain in the present. See, friends, yesterday or the past is a waste paper. Today is a newspaper. Tomorrow is a question paper. Life is an answer paper. Read and answer properly. Adhyatma Nitya. Let our mind be all the time in the present. Adhyatma Nitya. And to keep the mind in the present, what is required is discipline. If at a particular time we have decided we get up this time and finish our little exercises and then do pranayam, then sit our meditation, then study our scriptures or whatever we have to do, whenever we remain disciplined in our life, we start remaining in the present. A person who is not self-disciplined, he is all the time moving here and there mentally, and therefore he is not available in the present. Adhyatma Nitya. And then Vinivritta Kamaha, the next step, spiritual practice. Vinivritta Kamaha. Let us understand, spiritual practice does not mean fulfilling our desires. See, the whole Bhagavad Gita was told to Arjuna on the battlefield. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita instructions, the situation of the battle did not change. Then he changed. See, when we learn driving and we get the license, the traffic will not become organized. We have to be organized. How to negotiate through the terrible traffic. In the same manner, Vinivritta Kamaha. Let our spiritual practice not mean that spirituality means fulfilling the desires. And this is what we understand. We go to the temple or the church and ask, oh Lord, this is the list, kindly keep a note on this thing. When I come next time, fulfill all those desires. No. See, spiritual practice is not meant for these silly things in this world. So important. Vinivritta Kamaha and Dvandvaihi Vimuktaha Sukha Dukkha Sanjaihi. And then Sukha Dukkha. In everybody's life, there are times when there are joys and sorrows, when there is a gain and a loss, when there are friends and enemies. when there is coming together and parting apart. This is the story of life of everyone. Let us accept it as it comes and not get influenced by this for the whole life. See, friends, there are people who are unable to drop all these memories, good or bad, constantly under the same load. So, dvandvaihi vimuktaha. In everybody's life, the things come and go, like the heavy rains. Now, heavy rain is not a problem for only you or me. It is a universal problem for everybody. So, when there is a problem for everybody, it is not a problem. It is a situation. In the same manner, in this world, this is just a part of our game of life where there is joy, sorrows, or loss, gain, etc. So, dvandaihi vimuktaha sukha-dukkha sajnaihi gacchanti amudhaha. Such a person is called as amudha. Amudha means wise. Such a wise person alone attains the ultimate. Gacchanti amudaha padam avyayam tat. Avyayam, there is no fall thereafter. See, this is another very important thing. There is a word called as karma bhrashta. He who has fallen in his karma. Second word is yoga bhrashta. Shuchi naam Srimatam gehe yoga bhrashto vijayate. Yoga bhrashta, the one who was doing the yoga practice, but before the practice could be culminated, he died. And again he is born and again continues his yoga practice. But in case of the knowledge, there is no jnana bhrashta. Once we know the truth, it is known for all the times. A common example. We all have learned some time or the other either swimming or riding on a bicycle. We may not have been swimming for last 25 years. But does it mean that we have forgotten swimming? You cannot. See? Because swimming we don't learn by mind. It is just an experience. See? In the same manner, once we know our essential self, there is no possibility that we will forget. Therefore, avyayam padam, that having reached where there is no question of again fall, that avyayam padam gacchanti. Now, this absolute reality is glorified as in the 6th verse, natad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartante taddhama paramam mama. Now, when we are told about this absolute reality which is reached, then what is that reality? First, natad bhasayate suryaha. The sun, which is the illuminator of everything in this world, cannot illuminate the reality. It fails. Second, na shashankaha. Shashanka is the moon. Nor the moon can illuminate the reality. I remember one joke here in a school. The teacher asked the students, sun is more powerful or the moon? Naturally, everybody should say sun. So, all the children said, sun is more powerful. There was one small child sitting, what about you? You didn't say, I don't agree. Why? Sun is not powerful? No. Then moon is more powerful. How come? Sun gives light during day. What is great about it? The moon gives light in the night. Therefore, moon is more powerful. See the beauty. In this world, there are 5 sources of light. Sun, moon, stars, and fire and electricity. So, none of these sources can illuminate the truth. Therefore, na tatra suryo bhati, na shashankaha, na pavakaha. Pavakaha is fire. Then, yad gatva na nivartante, having reached which na nivartante, there is no question of further fall. Tad dhama paramam mama. That is my absolute abode. Now, please try to understand this subjectively. You know, the beauty of our scriptures is every shloka, every mantra has got three meanings. One is Adi Bhautika, the gross. So when we say the sun, the one which is hanging in the sky, that is Adi Bhautika, a gross objective. Second is Adi Daivika, the God Son. And there are many stories which come in the Puranas. Like, you know, the Kunti conceived the Karna, the first child, through the invocation of the mantra for the sun. That God is called as the Adi Daivik. And the third one is Adhyatmik, the subjective. Subjective one is the vision in our eye is illumined by the subjective sun. The world is illumined by the Adi Bhautik sun, and Adi Daivik sun is the potentiality behind the gross sun in the sky and the subjective sun in the eye. So here the teacher tells, Natat bhasayate suryaha. Surya therefore means our vision or the eyes. By the eyes, what is meant? All the sense organs. None of the sense organs will be ever able to comprehend the subjective being. See, friends, it is something like the electrical energy expressing as light through the bulb can illuminate everything, but in the same light, we can never see how the electricity looks like. Nobody has ever seen. See, in the same manner, even by our eyes, we can't see our own mind. Why we can't see our own mind? Because mind alone is expressing as a vision. Why that much? By our own eyes, we cannot see our own eyes. See, we can see everything by our eyes. Nobody has ever seen his own eyes. One day when I said like this, one girl, she said, Swamiji, I can. I said, okay, demonstrate. She took her purse and took out the small mirror. See, I can see. Oh, you are very intelligent, is it not? Now try to put, that kajal into your eye that you are seeing. So take the mirror and there is a reflection of your eye and there, put it there. Will it go inside? What we see in the mirror is the reflection, not the original one. In the same manner, all our sense organs are a failure. So, na tad bhasayati suryaha, then na pavakaha. Agni, the fire, is the presiding deity of speech. Therefore, it is said the fire is speech. When you talk for an hour or two, a lot of heat is generated in the body because the fire is invoked. So, by the speech, what is meant? All the organs of action. So, through the organs of action also, we cannot comprehend the absolute reality. So, organs of perception, organs of actions are to be dropped. Then, through the mind. Na Chandrama. The moon is the presiding deity of the mind. Therefore, on the full moon night, in all the asylums, there is a celebration. Isn't it? Because they have become very excited during that time. The moon is the presiding deity of the mind. Therefore, neither the sense organs, the organs of action, or the mind can ever comprehend the truth. It is for this reason that when we sit for meditation, without our knowledge, we do the same thing. What do? We close our eyes. Means we close all our sense organs. Then we stop all activities, we sit quiet. And then yogaha chittavritti nirodha, then mind is dissolved. Then what happens? Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam, then we abide in our own self. The whole spiritual practice told in Yoga Shastra is based on this principle. Therefore, unless we are able to drop our senses, unless we are able to drop our organs of actions and activities, unless we are able to dissolve our mind and I, the truth cannot be revealed. And once it is revealed, the teacher says, Yad gatva nanivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Having reached this, Dhamma is the knowledge, the brightness, the light. Tad Dhamma paramam mama. That is my ultimate abode, shining forth in its own glory. Thus, we practice what was said, Nirmana Moha Jita Sangha Dosha, and thus we come to conclude that in this world there is no secret. Next time you get a chance, please do watch a movie. And that movie is Kung Fu Panda. Have you seen? If you have not seen, please do watch. It should be available in the DVD market. In that, such a beautiful movie. And the conclusion of the movie is, there is no secret. You are the secret. We are constantly searching everything outside. See, friends. And to discover our own self, we have to be first with ourselves. But we are never with ourselves because we are leaking out either through the sense organs or through the organs of action or through the mind, running away from ourselves. This is how the subjective journey begins, which does not have any distance to be crossed or any time to be taken. Then we come to know how much time will it take to realize. See, how much time it will take for a wife to become a woman. The wife is a woman. We are divine. We are not the sons of sin. No. We are essentially divine. Our divinity is hidden behind these curtains of the wrong notions about ourselves, about the world, about the God, and about the spiritual practice. Therefore, na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha. This spiritual practice tells, drop your senses, organs of action, the mind, and that which cannot be dropped, that which cannot be given up, that thou art. See, friends, we drop our body in the dream, in the deep sleep. We drop our mind in the deep sleep. We drop the deep sleep in the waking. But there is one factor which is ever the same, which is never rejected, nay, cannot be rejected. That unrejectable presence is our essential nature. See? Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paravam mama. Here one topic ends about the world, the spiritual practice and attainment. Now the second topic begins about who is the soul. You know, the soul has created a terrible havoc all the time. Either they will show that one flame is coming out of the body and the flame will go somewhere and enter somewhere. You know, in Sydney, last year when I came, my friend told me, Swamini, this is a meditation CD, DVD, you please watch. I said, meditation is never watched. It is so subjective, how can you watch meditation? No, this is unique CD. Now when I am staying in somebody's house, I can't say no, because I am eating their food. So, okay. And then the CD started. And in that study, that man is sitting and nice composed music is going on, and then he lies down, and then from him he is sleeping in the Shavasana, and face to face, if somebody will sleep on him, how it will look like? Then from him one astral body is slowly floating away, and that astral body is having a connection through his umbilicus to his umbilicus. And then that astral body is floating and going through the time, space and object. Nothing can stop that astral body. Going to the Indraloka, Brahmaloka, here and there and all that, and again he comes back. See, objectivity in the subject is the biggest obstacle. See, and therefore, who is this? Who is practicing the spiritual practice? Who is this? When we call about soul, what is this soul? See, it is something like this. The unknown is indicated by X. Therefore, they say the ex-prime minister, unknown. So, the unknown item, for example, you take an example, there are 3 baskets. In 3 baskets, there are different mangoes. In one basket, there are 20 kg, other one there are 10 kg, the third basket, there are 15 kg of mangoes. First mango is $10 per kilo, second is $20 per kilo, third is $30 per kilo. If they are mixed, what will be the total quantity and average rate of mango per kilo? So how we will start? Suppose the average rate of mango per kilo is X, is it not? And only supposing X and submit our answer book, will we get any marks? No. We have to establish the value of X. In the same manner, we have to be someone other than the body called as the embodied. Now who is this embodied? Embodied is X called as Jiva. Now what is the value of the Jiva? See, this value of the Jiva is not established either in yoga or in Sankhya or in devotion or in any path. They don't talk about what is the Jiva. See, and it is here Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in the 7th verse, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutas Sanatanaha Manashyasthani Indriyani Prakritisthani Karshati Shariram Yadavapnoti Yachapyutkramati Ishvaraha Druhitvaitani Sayyati Vayurgandhani Vashayat Srotram Chakshusparshanancha Rasanam Ghranameva Adhisthaya Manashayam Vishayanupasevate Utkramantam Sthitam Vapi Bhunjanam Va Gunanvitam Vimudhananupashyanti Pashyanti Jnana Chakshushaha Yatanto Yoginaschainam Pashyantyatmanyavasthitam Yatantopyakrutatmano Nainam Pashyantya Chetasaha. So starting from the 6th up to the 11th, these 6 verses give the complete topic of soul. See? This is the ultimate, complete, exhaustive thing. First of all, I will tell you which is a common belief. And this common belief is based on when we take there is one soul per head. See, like there is one soul per shoe. Every shoe has got its independent soul. Only the spelling is different. In the same manner, there is one soul per head, which is accepted in the Sankhya and the Yoga. Therefore, Sankhya and Yoga, they all the time talk about one soul per head, or also in the devotion, also in the karma. Now here we'll take first that meaning, and I'll confuse you sufficiently. And then we'll sort it out, what exactly it is. First, Mama eva amshaha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. An amsha, a part of me, the Lord says, who is me? Sanatanaha, is ever the same, eternal, immortal. Jiva loke jiva bhutaha, a part of me alone has become the soul. Therefore it is said, God made man in his vision, in his figure, in his image. So mama eva amshaha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. So the God entered the body and he became the jiva. Then what happened? Thereafter, manashashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. That through the five senses and the sixth mind, the jiva is now pulled in the matter and he is lost in the five sense objects and getting established as the enjoyer, sufferer, etc. etc. Then what happens? Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramati svaraha. Then, according to our scriptures, it is said, like the caterpillar you must have seen. A caterpillar, when it is walking on a leaf or a branch, unless it establishes its contact with the front catch, it will not leave the back one. After it is caught properly, again it will get established. Then again it will lift, and this it will not leave, or else it will fall down. So again it catches another hold and then goes. In this manner the caterpillar goes. In the same manner, the jiva, the soul, before leaving the body, he catches hold of the last thought. The last thought determines our next form. In the 8th chapter, Bhagavan says, see, it is something, which was demonstrated in the story of Jad Bharat in Bhagavad Mahapuran. There was a king, Bharat, and he left his kingdom, went to the forest to do sadhana tapasya, and when he was doing his tapasya, he happened to see one pregnant deer. She was, drinking water near the small rivulet, and she heard the roar of a lion or a tiger. And when she heard that roar, she got frightened and jumped across the river, and in that she delivered her baby which has fallen in the water. And this Bharat Rishi, when he saw that small baby falling, immediately out of compassion went and collected the baby and started nursing, playing, my baby, my baby, my baby, my baby. And slowly the baby started growing. All his sadhana, all his spiritual practice was absolutely abandoned, and only that baby became the only attraction. And when that baby has grown up, naturally she has gone in her own kind. But this great Rishi, who started his journey as a spiritual quest, was so much attached to that dear, my dear, where she must have gone, other people must have, killed, or like that. I am without you, how can I live? My dear, you are my life, you are my everything. Continuously thinking of the dear, 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 and one day the last thought of dear, dear, and died. Next life, he was born as a deer. See? So the last thought gives the blueprint of our next life. See, friends. Now those who are too much attached to the dogs, see, all the time, my doggy, my doggy, my doggy, my doggy, sleeping with the dog, sitting with the dog, hugging the dog, kissing the dog, 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 dog. Next life. Oh, oh. See, friends. So, shariram yadavapnoti yaccha api utkramati ishvaraha. So, whatever the next blueprint is made, after that the present body is left. Then, Utkramati Ishvaraha. Now, this Jiva is essentially Ishvara. Be very attentive. This is a very subtle point. We started that he is Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, and the same Jiva is referred in the next verse as Ishvara. How he is Ishvara? Ishvara means the controller, the boss. How he is the boss? When he leaves the body, along with him in a suitcase, he carries all the senses and the mind and everything with him. He doesn't leave them in the body. So, Gruhitvaitani Sayyati Vayurgandhan Ivashayat. Like when the air passes over a rose garden, it carries the fragrance with it. In the same manner, this Jiva, living the present body, carries with it all the faculties, the sense organs, organs of action, memories, understanding, and everything is carried away from the present body. And what are those which are carried away? Shrotram, Chakshus, Sparshanam, Cha, Rasanam, Granam, Eva Cha. All the five sense organs and Adhishtaya, Manashayam. And also presided over by the mind, Ayam Vishayan Upasevate. Now this Jiva thus goes on experiencing the various objects of this world, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, the sound that touches, the form, the taste and the smells. These are experienced through the five sense organs with the help of the mind. And Utkramantam Sthitam Vapi Punjanam Va Gunanvitam. Whether leaving the body or by remaining in the body or by going through the various experiences of the body, Vimudha Nanu Pashyanti. The fools are unable to cognize that the body does not live life. It is the embodied who is living the life. See, just imagine I come to Dr. Warrior's house and the maid servant is there. There is nobody. They have gone out. So I come and press the bell. She comes out. And I ask, is Dr. Warrior there? No. Okay, I'll come later. No, you come inside. Even if he may not be there, but there are rooms, there are walls, there is furniture. Now for whom I have come in this house? For the walls? For the furniture? No. The house owner. In the same manner, life is not lived by the body. Life is lived by the embodied. Vimudha Nanu Pashyanti. But the fools can't even accept this. We start imagining that the body is living the life. No, friends. It is the embodied. See? Vimudhananu Pashyanti. Pashyanti is Jnana Chakshushaha. But those who are well versed in the scriptures, those who are contemplated, those who are worked out on their own experiences, exactly who is having the experience? Are the eyes having the experience of seeing the colors and forms? Or somebody behind the eyes? See. Is it the nose that is having the experience or somebody behind the nose? And when we thus become extremely subtle and aware about our own experiences, then we come to know that the embodied is someone different from the body. Now the next step. To our children, we give only the body, not the embodied. The soul is not created by the parents. If the soul is created by the parents, all the children should be the same, but they are not. Look-wise, they may be looking same, they may be twins, and yet their individualities are totally different. See, friends. Therefore, the first and the most important part on the spiritual path is to come to cognize our identity as someone other than the body. And when we start working on this issue, that the embodied is different from the body. Now, what is the load of this statement? The attributes of the body do not belong to me. See? Body is born, embodied is other than the body, therefore embodied is not born. Body undergoes changes, embodied is other than the body, therefore doesn't undergo any change. The body dies, embodied being other than the body does not die. The body has a gender, man, woman. Embodied being other than the body has no gender. In Bhagavad Mahapuran, it comes. Those who were men in the last life, they are the women in this life. And those who were the women in the last life, they are the men in this life. See? Because man is attracted towards the woman, and woman is attracted towards man, and thus that becomes a predominant thought, and in the next life they change their sexes and come. Because the embodied doesn't have any sex. See, friends, in this manner, when we start working on that the embodied is to be recognized as our essential being and not the body. See, friends. And when we are working on this, then you will see our complete spiritual practice undergoes tremendous change. Then we are no more influenced by the gross waking world. We are no more influenced by the friends and enemies. We are no more influenced by the loss and the gain. Because this is all happening only in the world which appears after identification with the gross body. This is recognized by the wise people. And therefore, one day one person asked me this question. What is the secret that the wise people don't get hurt whether they are praised or condemned? What is the secret? I said, okay, take an example. Are you married? He said, how do you know I am married? I said, from your face it looks that you are married. He said, yes, I am married. Now when your wife talks in the dream, do you give any importance to her? One wife got up in the morning, she said, darling, 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 yes, honey, what is that? You know, last night I dreamed that you got me a great diamond necklace from the jeweler's shop. Oh, good, let me sleep now. No. When are we going to go to that shop and get that diamond necklace in tomorrow's dream? Okay, now let me sleep. See? So when somebody talks to you, when that person is in sleep, do we give any importance? No, he is sleeping, don't worry about what he talks. In the same manner, for the wise people, we are all sleeping. And therefore, whatever we say to them, good or bad, it doesn't disturb them. They know he is sleeping, talking in the sleep. He who is awakened to his essential nature will never evaluate, never label, never condemn, never appreciate, never judge anything or anybody. Because there is no sense of otherness. Therefore, Vimudha nanupashyanti, pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. So the eye of wisdom. So the first step on the spiritual path is to come to cognize that the embodied is separate from the body. Unless this happens, whatever we may be doing, it is just only wastage of time and efforts. See? Similarly, when we are sitting for meditation, the goal of meditation is not that I can sit for half an hour in Padmasana. That is not the goal. See? What is the goal of meditation? Goal of meditation is attainment of body disidentification. That is the goal. If that does not happen, then all our yoga is only body oriented and we simply are interested only in the body, body, body. See? Therefore, friends, this is the first step about understanding what is the jiva or what is the soul. Now we go to the second understanding, the right understanding. Infinite is the Lord, and when it is said mamaiva amsho jiva loke, mama eva amshaha, my part is the jiva. Now tell me, can infinite have a part? Infinite is that which is never divided. Infinite plus minus anything continues to be infinite. Infinite multiplied divided by anything continues to be infinite. Is it not? Then when the Lord says that the jiva, the soul is my part, what does he mean? Let's get this point very subtle. It means that in the infinite, the soul is imagined. See, in India earlier, 1 rupee was equivalent to 64 paisa. Acha must have seen that. 64 paisa used to be 1 rupee. Now from 66 onwards, rupee is the same. Now it is 100 paisa. So that 1 is imagined to be divided, either it was in 64 or now it is 100. See, friends. Therefore, in the absolute, the finite is always imagined. Like, take another example, space is infinite, absolute. In this space, north, east, west, south, up, down and corners. These 10 directions, they are imagined, they are not real. How they are not real? Which is the direction where the sun rises? Of course, east. How the east is the east? Because the sun rises. So it is east because of the sun, or the sun is rising in the east. They are mutually dependent. And if we go away from the earth on other planet, will there be north, east, west, south? It cannot be. See, friends. Therefore, this one absolute appears to be expressing under the influence of the limitations. This appearance of the reality of the limitations is called as the jiva. And it is a common thing. See, like we see the rainbow. Rainbow seen anywhere in the world. Is it a different philosophy or a different phenomena? It is the same. The horizon that we see. Is it that the horizon in the North Pole is nearer and the horizon on the South Pole is far away? And in the equator there is no horizon? No. It is just an appearance. See, friends. In the same manner, the same absolute reality expressing through any limitation of any body and thereby expressing as mind becomes the jiva. So the jiva or the soul, they are not one per head. It is just a phenomena. They appear to be many because of the many bulbs, but the light is one. See, now there are so many bulbs here, and all that light is falling on our face. Can we differentiate this light is belonging to that bulb and this is belonging to that bulb? See, friends, it is so simple and straight, and therefore the expression of life is same everywhere. See, hunger is common for all the life. Desire is common for all the life. Security is common for all the life. See, I remember once I had one good experiment. This happened in Delhi many years before. It was raining like this. And here I am not seeing any lizards. In India we have got plenty of lizards. So I was sitting in the veranda and there was one tube light. Many insects came. I was having a cup of tea and watching. So one small baby lizard came to eat the insect. So the insect was going away and the small baby lizard was going for the dinner. And from somewhere the big lizard came. You come in my territory? It is my territory. So the small lizard started running away for the sake of insecurity. When these two started fighting, the insect ran away, flew away. And I was sitting there. I saw the whole phenomena. Then I took a stick in my hand and went to touch that big lizard. And when I went to touch the big lizard also ran out of insecurity. When this ran, the small baby lizard which was on the ceiling, she also became panicky. And in that panic, she fell on my hand. Then I also ran. The whole life has the same expression. There is no difference whatsoever. See, friends, hunger, thirst, joy, sorrows, love, hatred, these are the common expressions of life. Where is the place for I versus you? See, friends, therefore when a bulb becomes fused, will that light get out of that bulb and go into another bulb? Get this point very clearly. When a glass breaks, will the glass space come out of the glass because the glass is broken in search of another glass to enter? No. In the same manner, jiva is just a phenomena. See, with the body, the phenomena of life begins. And the expression of that phenomena depends on the quality of the body. See, friends. So who is born and who dies? See, one day one person asked me in USA, Swamiji, you being Hindu, you believe in rebirth, but we don't believe, we are Christians. I said, who told you Hindus believe in rebirth? We believe in no birth. Nobody is born. Can we say when we switch on the light, the bulb, the light is born? And when we switch off, the light died? And again we switch on. Is it the same light which has come again? It is just a phenomena. See, friends. Therefore, vimudha nanupashyanti. The fools are unable to cognize that life is just a phenomena. There is nothing like sin or merit, going to hell or heaven. There is nothing like God sitting above the clouds and packing small packets of miseries and dispatching to us without losing a single aim. Exactly it comes to us. This is not the truth. See? And therefore, throughout life, the life's expressions are the same. Whether it is the human being or the animal, insects or the reptiles, all of them see by the eyes, hear by the ears, eat by the mouth, digest, excrete, procreate. Where is the difference? See? The desire for procreation, whether it is among the marine life, the fish, or among the amphibians, the reptiles, or among the aliens or the birds, or among the human beings, whether educated or uneducated, or the various gods. Everywhere, this urge to procreate is a common phenomena. There is nothing new in that. See, friends, therefore, what is meant is, when you come to cognize this reality, then we get out of even the notion that the embodied is the soul and he has done sin last life, therefore he got married to this lady in this life and in the next life he will be liberated. These are only stories. It is meant only to bring to our cognition that the embodied is one. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. In the 13th chapter, when you study, you will come to know that there is but one reality expressing and pulsating in and through the total creation. See? Vimudhana anupashyanti. But those who are deluded fools, those who are obsessed with the gross world, the achievements and the failures, they can never understand this. And therefore, right in the beginning, the teacher told, Nirmana moha jitasanga doshaha. Unless we come away and out of the body identification, this will never click in our understanding. Remaining we'll take in our tomorrow's class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.